Welcome everyone. I'd like to touch bases on the turbofan engine. There will be a short leading to this video because that seems to get everyone's attention. Now, I had thought to myself, there were a lot of ideas. People are saying, well, you could do, you could burn fuel in it if you had a heat displacement like in a hairdryer. But then, of course, you've got the LPC blades on the backside. They're gonna melt because they're all basically PLA. And then I got to thinking, what do you put in an expansion? What can I put in the expansion chamber? The actual fuel burning chamber that runs the actual compressor that could simulate that expansion of burning fuel and still give me a safe running turbine with no heat, with the exception of whatever heat you get off the bearings, which is nothing because these are high RPM bearings. Helium. I figured out I could use helium. It was a toss-up between CO2 and helium, but helium has a higher specific heat ratio. I think it's like Y = 5/3, which means it expands more readily compared to many other gases, including CO2. The high expansion rate can mimic the rapid gas expansion that occurs in a real turbine engine, which means at scale, I can spin it up with the S6 that's here, use helium in the combustion chamber to run the compressor, and then the warmer air coming in would heat up the helium as it expands from its liquid form, and then that would give us our compressor effect, so we can see how fast we can spin this. Now, of course, I'm going to spin this up on a regular 6S without anything in the expansion chamber, or the combustion chamber. But and that's just to test how everything is spinning, making sure that everything's level, making sure everything that is spinning evenly. And then I'm going to design the input system for the helium. Helium's easy to come by. You can get helium from party stores and stuff like that, but I'm looking for more of the CO2 cartridge style small helium canisters, or whatever size they come in. The whole point is, helium is the answer to running this compressor turbine without burning it up. It's still using PLA. So I don't have to send all this off to get, printed in metal from some expensive printing place, which I, can't afford right now. But helium, on the other hand, is a cheaper alternative. And since I'm going to cap this thing off and we're going to run it, the first thing we're going to do is an RPM test on this to see what RPMs I get out of it. We're going to use iNav to run the motor, not the controller, because I want to make sure that I know what voltage and what percentage I'm putting into the motor through iNav, which you can do, before I have any failures in any specific part of the turbine. And then once I figured out, if it reaches the max RPM, which is about 52,000, and it doesn't have any issues, then we'll move forward. And I may, of course, obviously in the future, once I add the helium, we're going to get higher speeds. So what I want to do is find another material. Probably I'm going to have to move away from FDM printing and go to SLA. Something from Form Labs. Maybe they'll send me something. Maybe they'll send me something to prove their resin and technology so they can make more sales. What do you think? So what FDM material would handle high RPMs without flexing too much, but flexing enough to where it doesn't shatter? And what SLA resin would be the best for this kind of application? And I'm like psyched because I thought, there's no way I'm going to be able to use the compressor in this thing. And I thought, oh, helium. It's the same thing. You're simulating the expansion of the burning gases. So this could be, a helium spun up turbine engine. And since both of these engines are going on the Cutlass Black's got tons of room on the inside to hold helium bottles of whatever size. You guys have seen that in the past. You've seen the big model that I'm making. So this is kind of exciting. So I'm really just waiting on the printer at this point to finish the cases so that I can get everything done here and start running the RPM test. Since I've inserted a bearing into this front portion here, which it never had, and we got this bearing here, a secondary bearing here, another bearing here, and then of course you've got your rotator shaft, which is on the end of the 6S motor. So that's where we're going with this right now. So wish me luck, and I'll wear a face shield, don't worry. That way if something comes flying off of there, it doesn't end up in my eyeball. Always practice safety when working with high-speed turbofan models or engines. Wear eye and ear protection. That was your disclaimer. So, and do this, if you decide to, at your own risk. I am doing this at my own risk. I am not encouraging you to do it, but you're an adult. Maybe, possibly, more than likely. But the ones who are not, please do not attempt any high-speed turbine testing on your desk or in your house without the proper precautions. Please be safe. We want to keep this hobby going. Until next time, when I have helium, then things will get really interesting.